Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Jan Roth from Baroque Games. Baroque Games was founded by three friends, and their first game, Axon Protocol, is currently on Kickstarter. Jan, welcome to the binge. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, thank you very much for being here. I'm great.
Hey, it's great to have you. So first and foremost, Baroque Games, where did this name come from?
It's a very good question. We founded our company. We're situated in Stuttgart, but we come or all lived near the city called Ludwigsburg. It's a smaller town right in the north of Stuttgart. And this city is famous for its Baroque castles and its overall Baroque architecture. It's a really scenic, beautiful city. And since we all met there and have a deep connection to the place, we choose the name Baroque Games for our company.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now, your friends that you started this company with, have you guys been friends your entire life, or when did you meet these guys?
Or almost, I would say. Yeah, we met during studies over other friends that I knew from studying. So yeah, we know each other for almost 20 years now, and
wow.
We've been playing board games and pen and paper RPGs and other stuff together for a really, really long time.
Oh wow. And then, and what do you guys do for like a living outside of board games? If this is your first game, you must be doing something. What do you do when you're not board gaming?
Oh, well, I for myself, I am a VFX artist. I do 3D computer animation and stuff like that for a living, for industry stuff, but also for television and cinematic movies.
Oh, wow. And I noticed on the campaign page, there's a really cool 3D animated intro video. Is that something you created or?
Yes, exactly. I created it myself.
Wow. And how long have you been, like, is this what you went to school for, or how long have you been doing like VFX?
Yeah, exactly. I was born in Bonn, the former Western German capital,
Okay.
if you're familiar with it. And I moved down to Stuttgart to study film and media. And then I stayed here to pursue that career, to work. So usually I'm a freelancer, and I work on these projects.
And when you're working on projects like this, the natural tendency would seem to be that, video games, right? Video game would be a good industry to get into. Did you spend much time in the video game industry at all, or was it predominantly film? Or
no, video games, none at all, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, in and around Stuttgart, there's a lot of industry, like automobile industry, like Porsche, Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
So I worked a lot for companies who do either advertisement or corporate films for these huge companies. And then the film industry slowly started to move through to Baden-Württemberg, to Stuttgart, because of film funding. And so I got to work on big films and television series and Netflix and stuff as well.
Oh, that's crazy.
Video games, it's not so big around here.
Yeah.
I think there are two huge companies in Hamburg, but they're doing more like mobile games. Crytek is in Frankfurt. If you know them, they did a Crisis and stuff like that.
Is there any Netflix shows you can mention or that we would know that you worked on?
I think the recent thing that I am allowed to mention is Marvel's Hawkeye, because it already it aired and my name is in the credits, so I can confirm that I worked on the show. Yes.
That is crazy. And like, what kind of things are you doing? Like the arrows that when he's doing the bow and arrow, or like?
Yeah, for example, yeah.
Wow.
I can't really talk in detail about it. It's all NDA stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I can confirm that I worked on the show.
That is crazy. That's awesome. And then, so why board games? What, it seems like such a big gap between, the movie industry and VFX. What kind of drew you to board games?
Well, we always loved to play, like I said, board games,
Yeah.
video games, and also pen and paper role playing games.
Mm.
Basically, since my youth, I think it started with board games with my family, like Catan and
Yeah.
Carcassonne, like the more family oriented stuff like that. And we moved to Magic the Gathering, my friends and I, during school, and then to Dungeons and Dragons and Das Schwarze Auge, the famous German pen and paper role-playing game, and also Cyberpunk 2020 and Warhammer Fantasy and stuff like that. And yeah, then we came right around back to more hardcore board games, I would call them.
Yeah, I'd say, wow.
And yeah, we always stay true to that hobby.
And then, so it's a big step though, right? To go from playing the hobby to saying, I think I can create something here. I think I can, make something of my own. At what point did that kind of click with the three of you where you guys said, we could probably create our own game? Was that something that was always kind of there as a bug, or was it something that just, as you've played these different games and gained different experience and different mechanics and so forth, you decide, hey, maybe we can do something on our own?
Yeah, first of all, it is a really big step.
Yeah.
And I think I carried this idea around in my head for this game mechanic that I had in mind for several years. Don't know exactly when it started, but I had this idea about like characters, and all of them have like their own daily routine stuff they do, but you can like the players can hack them and influence them and do different stuff. And I always thought, yeah, this could be a great game, and there's nothing like that really. And I think it was the year 2019. It was still before the pandemic when I sat down between two jobs and I actually started like writing stuff down and then printing my first prototype with the computer just on paper and glued them together and on simple cardboards, cut everything out by hand, and yeah, tested this with a first very simple prototype and showed it to my friends. And yeah, we of course most of the game still wasn't there, but the core mechanic was there and it worked. It was fun. And
This whole
from there we went on.
story then. So the story came first, I guess, this idea of hacking into people.
I think it appeared both together. Like I had this idea for the mechanic, but I also knew that it would be perfect for a cyberpunk kind of setting where everybody is wired to the internet directly with its brain. And so if you're a hacker, you can hack into people and give them ideas, like in Christopher Nolan's Inception, and then they do stuff they would normally not do. So both of these I think they went simultaneously, hand in hand. So I didn't have the mechanic first, and then I tried to find a setting for it. It was it appeared simultaneously.
And this is in 2019, so this has been 3 years in the making, essentially, I guess, right?
Yeah, almost. I think the first prototype I had it ready in October 2019.
Wow.
And yeah, this printed on my home computer with no graphics, just very very simple.
And why 3 years to then try to go for Kickstarter? Like, was it just, it's just been development has taken that much time? Has it been your daily lives have kind of, you've tried to have to navigate around that, or what, if you had that core concept in 2019, what was it that was the thing you had to figure out between then and now when you finally end up launching a campaign?
Well, I think we pretty much had to figure out everything because we started from zero. Like first we have to like to find ourselves, to come together and decide yeah, we want to do this. We want to try to make this into a real game, and then try to find out how to go about this. And yeah, of course, we're all doing this part-time because all of us still got our regular daily jobs. And because no one can work on it full-time, there were times when we were more eager,
Yeah.
especially, and yeah, especially me, because as a freelancer, I can take time between paid jobs and work for 2 months just on the project. But then when I got another paid job again, of course, these can be very stressful. So maybe for the next months, I got no time to work on a game at all.
Yeah.
Only sometimes on weekends. So yeah, I think everything was new. It was a lot more difficult than we anticipated. We just went ahead with it once we had decided we want to do it. And yeah, everything took more time than we expected.
Of course. And your two colleagues, are they in the VFX industry as well, or what do they do?
No, we have a, how do you say, we have a broad set of talents, I would say. One of my colleagues, Pitt, he has his own online store.
Okay.
So yeah, he mostly deals in Legos, but also in board games and other stuff. So he's the salesman, so to say. Has a lot of experience in this idea because he's also doing it for years.
Mm-hmm.
And Konny does it on a different level because he's working for huge companies, but in international shipping and fulfillment.
So it's tough when you have day jobs, and I think that's pretty common across the industry, right? Where most people that are in this hobby are doing this as kind of a passion project, right? Outside of, in the evenings or on weekends, or as a way to kind of, in your case, you're on computers all day long. This could be a way to kind of separate yourself from the digital world, right? And get into more of the tactile world as a way to kind of
exactly
let your mind kind of separate itself, right?
Yeah.
This concept of the video, and I would encourage people to check out just if anything, the video at the beginning of this, because it is so super cool. The story of how you got somebody in there just walking around their daily life, and this hacker's going to town on the keyboard. And then next thing you know, they're kind of reaching through the computer and taking control of that person. And I think in the example in the video, the person ends up going and robbing a bank, right?
Right.
This idea, was there any thought to kind of take it beyond the game and more into even like graphic novels or into any kind of even animated series, things like that? Have you guys kind of tossed that idea around, or?
Well, maybe I tossed it around in my head, of course, but right now our first objective is to get our first game published and into the market and establish ourselves as a game developer and publisher. But yeah, I think the overall setting has the potential for more. Like I don't know, a TV series, of course, is very expensive.
Yeah.
But like a role-playing game or comic book maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is potential.
Yeah, it's super cool. I love this story. So in 2019, you started this off. It took you till 2022 to finally go on to Kickstarter. What was one of the big learnings you had going into this Kickstarter campaign? What was one of the things that was maybe one of the key things you had to figure out before you guys decided, okay, we're launching now?
Very good question. Like I said, we figured everything out along the way, of course. But I think one very important thing that gave us a big boost was going to Essen Fair this year. And we had our own booth there. And like before the fair, we were very nervous because we had no idea if anybody would even show up for the game. We had built like 2 tables that were glowing from underneath, especially for the game, so it looks a bit more cyberpunky to maybe draw attention.
Yeah.
And we hope that this would suffice, and we could like present the game at 2 tables simultaneously to at least a few people. But what happened was like we were basically overrun by people. So both tables were always full, nearly for all the 4 days. And we were completely overworked. And we hadn't anticipated with so much attention. This was a huge morale boost for us, because it told us, okay, we're ready now. The product works. People already asked us if they could buy it there, and we said no, it's just those prototypes we didn't got anymore. So this also told us that we are ready to launch the campaign, that we're there. Before that, it was still like okay, it's a bit more than a hobby, because we founded the company and we planned to do this, but it was still like, okay, no, we're not really sure about it. But after that, we said, okay, we're right. We're doing the right thing. It's what we're doing is working, and we're ready now.
Certainly, I think these conferences are a great way to get confirmation, right? That you're ready. I mean, it's one thing to have play testing and having people agreeing that the game is ready mechanically, but when you go to a show and you're putting kind of your marketing positioning forward, right, and you have people coming up and interacting with the message and so forth, and how you're promoting it, that's a good bellwether as to, okay, are we ready or are we not ready, right? We can tell by people's reactions, or maybe certain reactions might think, oh, we need to rethink some things. So that's super cool. For people that are going to watch this either on the replay or watching live, I was wondering if you would mind just kind of walking us through Axon Protocol, how to play the game, the basic essence of the game. First and foremost, let me just congratulate you that you guys have already funded on this campaign. So I'm going to put this in Canadian dollars. It's the only way I can see it. You're at $31,000 on a $21,000 goal. You still got 9 days to go. So you guys are probably going to end up obviously much higher than that. And I'm sure you guys are very happy with where you're landing. But walk us through this whole Axon Protocol game. Like, how do people play it?
Okay, so each player is a hacker in the ranks of a mega corporation, right? And your job is to generate as many resources for your corporation as possible before the city collapses under the struggle. And so what you do is, in order to generate resources, the core concept of the game is to manipulate the characters that run around in the city, and hack them and make those characters generate resources for your corporation. And the first big unique selling point is each character can be activated and hacked by every player. So those characters that are currently in the city, they form like a worker pool, but they are shared by all the players. And because each character can only be activated once each round, this means the players also have to fight over dominance over these characters. So it's it's a bit Eurogamey in that you have these shared workers, but it's also very interactive and very competitive. And the second thing is each corporation profits from 2 different resources, and in a multiplayer game, so 3 players or more, always 2 corporations should share 1 resource. And this means like you can cooperate for a time if you want to, but of course in the end you want to be the corporation with the most victory points.
And then I was reading somewhere that, so when you're picking your characters, you kind of can go with 2 actions. One is you can let them go about, I guess, their day and do their daily actions. And then another one is, if not, then you activate their special abilities. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So each character has like a very simple routine, like if this and this, then do this, else do that, else do that. And each character only does one action when activated. So you go through these are like programming routines line by line, and you do the first action that is possible. And in many cases, these actions might be exactly what your corporation needs. Then you don't have to hack the character. You just have to like put him in the right position for you to work. But each character also has a certain set of skills. And if you hack the character, you can let him use one of these skills instead of the routine. And these skills also allow characters to do stuff they normally wouldn't do. And hacking, of course, costs you something, but it allows you to have more options to do with the characters. And yeah, depending on where a character is in the city, each city location also has a special ability that can be triggered there by some characters, not by all. And so you can use the city's special action as well.
That's cool. And then this whole idea of it collapsing under its own stress as kind of the game comes in. So the city will collapse, right? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right?
Right. Yeah.
And what made you guys come up with? It's kind of ominous. What made you guys come up with that idea to have it that the city is finally going to collapse?
Yeah, I think it's my way of criticizing permanent growth, capitalism, and stuff like that. I mean, that's what cyberpunk is doing, right? It's kind of a cynical, dystopian over-exaggeration of what we are experiencing right now. And so for the corporation, it's only about the growth. Doesn't matter what happens afterwards. Like if you can't get any more resources out of the city, you move to the next mega city. It doesn't matter. And it is very dark and cynical, but it for me at least, it matches the theme, what cyberpunk means perfectly. And of course, mechanically, it's a very good game to. It's a very good method to put a definitive end on the game, because there's this breaking point token and the stress token, and the stress moves up, and if it reaches the breaking point, the game is over. So, and this is clear. So every player knows this. You can see it at all the time. So you can calculate like how long the game will most likely be still going, and you can work with that.
How long do the games last on average?
I would say 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Okay.
If you're two players, it can be two experienced players. It can be faster.
So there's a lot of meatiness to the game, I guess, right? Like for an hour and a half. So this is would you call it a heavier weight game then?
I would, yes. Although like the core game mechanic is pretty simple. And if you know the characters and the city areas and what you can do where, there's not a lot of downtime because it's your turn. You do usually one action. You can play software cards like Instance in Magic the Gathering for additional effects. But that's it. You usually activate one character. The character does one thing, maybe activate a city area as well. And then it's the next player's turn, and the next player activates a character. But if you're new to the game, there is a lot of reading involved at first, because each character is unique. They all have their own routines, and you have to check, okay, what can I do with this character? What can this character do? And, oh, he's standing at the bank. So what I can do, what is the special action of the bank? So the first 2 rounds in our test games were usually pretty slow because all the players were kind of reading all over the place and trying to figure out, okay, what can I do? But once this initial learning step is overcome, then the game can usually goes on pretty fast without much downtime.
Yeah.
It's just that you have a lot of options. because each character gives you different options, and new characters come into the game during playthrough. This means there's new options each round.
There's this add-on that I noticed in here, this backlit foil playmat. What is that? What do you mean by backlit foil playmat?
Well, I mentioned before we built these tables for Essen Fair. Pitt had this idea for we wanted something that that looks like cyberpunk, like it is I don't know, a holographic table, and
Sure.
the playmat is projected on top of it. But we had no money, so we needed a very cheap solution. So we printed these backlit foils. We took our game board and sideboard and enough space for cards, and we printed everything on a big playmat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the stuff you have at a diner or so. These where the menu is presented. So it's a foil. You can roll it up, and if you light it from behind, it's you can see the light through it. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and so we put this on a glass tabletop and some LED lights below, and so you have the playmat is lit from below, and yeah, like I said, this generated a lot of interest by people who were just coming by. They were interested, like, how did we build the table? Do we sell the table? Does the table sell with the board game, or do I have to buy it separately? And initially, this was just a very quick idea for the fair to generate some awareness. But
that looks cool.
we thought about it. Hey, can we make this into a product and sell it? And of course, to sell the entire table setup would be way too expensive.
Sure.
But for the it would probably require another campaign. We are thinking about it to making this into a product, at least the tabletop, so that you have something that you can put on top of your table and light it from below, and then put board game playmats on top of it.
Almost like an illuminated mat of some sort that would.
Yes, yeah. But we're not there yet. But we thought, okay, what we can do is we can offer the playmat we printed for Essen, so that you can build your own table with it, because you just need something like a plexiglass topper or a glass topper, and you can put the playmat on top, and you need some lights from below, and then you have a very good you can create a really good cyberpunk atmosphere for the game.
Yeah, it looks I mean, as an accent, I can imagine that's an ability to up your game significantly in terms of table presence, right? Yeah. Where do you guys, so the three of you are working on this game. I'm sure you guys didn't create a company just for one game. What comes after this? Do you guys have another game you're working on, or is there an expansion of this world, or kind of where do you guys go from here?
Good question. Yes, we are indeed working on another game right now. The first prototype might be ready near the end of the year. I can't say anything for sure right now. So, but it's almost at the first prototype stage. So we're beyond just the idea level.
That's cool.
And of course, there are also ideas for add-ons for Axon Protocol. But of course, this depends on how well the game sells. And when for me, I'm after this campaign, I also want to do something different, like not still board games, but I also got ideas for other board games that I want to explore. But I think we will definitely go back to the world of Axon Protocol as well, and there are already ideas for add-ons, like additional cities, for example.
That's awesome. Well, if anybody wants to check out this campaign, I encourage them to check out the show notes. I'll put a link right in the show notes. Of course, on our Facebook group, Board Game Binge, if you join our Facebook group there, of course, we'll put a link to the video as well as a link to the Kickstarter page. Or you can certainly go to Kickstarter and just search Axon Protocol, AXON, and then Protocol will pop up. Jan, I wish you and your colleagues all the best on this campaign. I'm sure you guys are going to be super pumped where this lands in 9 days. And when you guys are ready with the next game, maybe we can get you back on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
No worries. You take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.